Hi again. I am back. This time we're going to be working on the outline that we created in the previous video. Probably I could have just made that video and this video one thing, but I don't know. Why have four videos when you can have, I guess, five? That I'm going to stop. Anyway, yeah, we're going to fill out this outline now. We're going to start working on filling in the outline. So let's get started with that. Okay, so here is the outline that we created in the previous video. It's been slightly rearranged because I decided to use the thesis statement exactly as I wrote it in the big, ugly, long video that I've already made and uploaded, which you can watch if you want. I'm making these shorter videos to spare your sanity. As you can see, I've already got this rough draft written here. No idea why that's happening. Anyway, I've got this whole rough draft here, and I am gonna plug in uh, actual sentences into this outline. The thesis statement here: Donald Trump is an ineffective leader and should not be president because of his weird obsession with the border wall, his divisive rhetoric, and because of his family separation policy toward immigrants. Slightly different from the version we did in the last video, but it's the same thesis statement saying the same thing, or a very similar thesis statement saying the same thing. So I'm going to take this thesis statement and I'm going to plug it in here. We've got a point. I'm just going to plug each individual part where it needs to go. So if we look at this, Donald Trump is an ineffective leader and should not be president. That is my point. And then all of the rest of this are the reasons or evidence. And I'm just going to put a capital L, a colon, and I'm going to paste my points in there and put a period there. So because of his weird obsession with the border wall, his divisive rhetoric, and because of his family separation policy toward immigrants. Okay, there. That's my thesis statement. That's all I want to work on for the intro paragraph right now. I always recommend that students write the introduction last. Once you know the paper you've already written, it's really easy to write an introduction setting it up. And while we're in the process of writing, we might decide we want to add a fourth body paragraph or a fifth. And it's really kind of dumb to put a whole lot of time and energy in an introduction that might have to be rewritten anyway. So write the intro last. Okay, paragraph or body paragraph one. I'm going to just put colons after. Actually, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to be lazy, and I'm going to paste because that's who I am. And I'm going to do that actually. I'm going to just take some time. I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to edit this crap out because it's too boring to watch. Okay, so there. I've put in colons for all of these various parts here for the body paragraphs. And now I'm going to start plugging in sentences for each of these various components of the paragraph. The first thing that we can do for all of these is a topic statement. We've got our bolded text to tell us what it is we're going to be talking about. And we've got topic statement, context, evidence, / quote, analysis, and a transition for all of these. The first thing we can do with almost zero work is to write a topic statement. So I'm not going to write a topic statement on the fly. What I'm going to do is actually just copy and paste them from the essay I've already written. Because again, I want this video to be short. So here, one reason why Donald Trump should not be president, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it right here in body paragraph one after topic statement. One reason why Donald Trump is an ineffective leader is because of his weird obsession with a border wall for a southern border. Perfect. I mean, I wrote it myself, so maybe I'm being a little arrogant there. Maybe I'm a little biased. Perfect topic statement. Does exactly what it needs to do. Let's go to the second paragraph, or I guess the second body paragraph. Here, Donald Trump's divisive rhetoric. I'm going to get that period in there while I copy it, and then again I'm going to paste it over here. Divisive rhetoric is another reason he is an ineffective president of the United States. Body paragraph 3. Here we go, right after topic statement. Body paragraph 3. Finally, Donald Trump's aggressive immigration policy of family separation makes him an ineffective world leader. I'm going to copy and paste right here. Okay, now I've got topic statements for all of my body paragraphs. Excellent. The next thing we can do that requires almost no work at all is coming up with a transition. And since we're in body paragraph 3, let's do that transition first. My personal opinion is that we don't need a transition to the conclusion. I personally think that's a little weird. Other teachers might disagree. Whatever. So what we have to come up with now are basically two transitions, one from body paragraph 1 to 2 and one from body paragraph 2 to 3. Let's look at the transition I wrote. So body paragraph 1 ends with, in addition to his persistence with building a wall along our southern border, President Trump also makes extensive use of divisive rhetoric. There we go. There's a transition. This perfectly sets us up. And let me just read this real quick. In addition to his persistence with building a wall on our southern border, President Trump also makes extensive use of divisive rhetoric. Moving down to the next paragraph, the topic statement is, Donald Trump's divisive rhetoric is another reason he is an ineffective president of the United States. All right, now these two things might be a little clunky, but remember, this is a rough draft. So this is transitioning into the next thing. Could this transition be a little more elegant? Could maybe I rewrite the topic statement for the second paragraph to more smoothly build off of the transition from the previous? Yes, I'm not going to. It's a rough draft. We're just going to do this. That's the work done, and we're going to move on. And then, making it better is for the whole revision process, which is another video that I may or may not tackle here in 2019. I don't know. Moving on to the transition for body paragraph 2. Let's go down a bit. Okay. Not only is Trump's divisive rhetoric a problem, but his immigration policies, especially on our southern border, are problematic at best. And then I'll just read the topic statement for body paragraph 3 again. Finally, Donald Trump's aggressive immigration policy of family separation makes him an ineffective world leader. That's not bad. Those two work pretty well together. Maybe a little smoother, maybe they could be a little elegant, whatever. They work well together, and once again, rough draft. All right. The last thing I think we can do before we need to start finding sources to back up our points, because remember, for every claim we make in an academic essay, we have to back that claim up with evidence, and the evidence has to come from a credible source. That's the next video, though. But the last thing we can do, with very little thought, is provide a little bit of context. There's going to be some thought. This is a lot more work than just coming up with a topic statement or a transition. But we can provide a little context for each of these things. So let's start with a border wall. And I'm going to go back over here to the essay that's already been, the rough draft that's already been finished. And I'm going to go to the second sentence, which, if you look, actually doesn't end in a period. It ends in a colon because it is setting up the quote. We'll look at all that later. Anyway, the context for body paragraph 1 is simply Trump's obsessive need to build a wall along our southern border is irrational, impractical, and expensive. Okay, good. There's some context. Could we give more context? Yeah, absolutely. And the truth is, this rough draft doesn't quite hit 1,000 words, so probably we should. But again, we can do that in the revision process. There's no need to kill ourselves for a rough draft. Let's go to the context for body paragraph 2. When a person takes on the job of President of the United States, they need to be ready and willing to be a leader for every citizen. This has definitely not been the case with President Trump. Okay, good context. Again, maybe there could be a little bit more. Maybe we'll provide a little bit more with some of the analysis. Definitely we'll provide a little bit more with the quote as well, but we'll get to that. Finally, let's go for the third body paragraph's context. Okay. In addition to the fact that immigrants are not the burden on our economy that President Trump claims they are, our barbaric immigration policy of separating children from their families sends a terrible message to the rest of the world. And then there's a colon. So again, this is setting in all of these. I've used my context to set up and to introduce the quote that I'm going to use. Now this is I'm going to save because again, save as often as you possibly can remember. You don't want to lose any of this work. This is good for where we're at right now. The conclusion, we don't want to screw around with the conclusion yet. We have 3 out of the 5 requirements for the body paragraphs. What we have to come up with for all 3 now is we have to come up with a quote and we have to come up with some analysis. Analysis explains the quote. So there's no possible way that we can write that now. We have to wait till we have our quotes. And the next video is going to be all about finding sources. I'll give a brief demonstration about how to find sources, and then as well creating a works cited page, because it just makes sense to do that all at the same time. So I'm going to do that in the next video, and we're going to end this one here.